I'm Megan.
I'm Christy.
And we are
Homebrew
Murder.
coming to you from the good audio. Unlike our last episode 66, which I forgot to change from our webcam audio to our Focusrite audio.
That's okay. It'll still be good. This is a micro.
It is brought to you a la Christy Lee here.
A la
So,
Christy Lee. I'm excited.
Let's crack into it.
She is.
As our friends, not our friends, I wish, but that's what we drink say.
Wow.
So we're not going to steal that from them, or if we do, we're going to give them credit where credit is due. So, cheers. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm tired too.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. It's been a day. It's been a week. It's been a life. Okay.
Yeah.
How the hell are you doing, Megan?
I'm holding it together by a thread.
Living the dream, one nightmare at a time.
Yeah. No, you know what? Things are going to be good. Things are looking up. A lot of really good things have happened, but a lot of really shitty things had to happen for me to get here.
Yes. But Megan starts a new job on Monday. Congratulations, Megan.
Thank you. Thank
you.
I'm going to kick ass at it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I have a microbrew for you guys. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So
what you got for us?
In this episode, first of all, I forgot to mention that, again, we mentioned this in our last episode, but you're hearing a microbrew and it's out in the wild and you're like, what?
Yes.
So if you're listening to this before the last episode, or I don't know which one's going to come out first, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this one's going to release in the middle of the week.
Yeah. So we haven't decided yet. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to decide when we're going to release microbrews.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically what we're going to do is our Patreon, which is patreon.com/homebrewmc, which you can still subscribe to either as a free member, which really isn't going to get you much, but, or $3 a month. So initially we had our microbrews on Patreon, and that was an exclusive for our Patreon members. Mm-hmm. However, we're finding we've been talking and thinking that by releasing our microbrews out into the wild as a bonus little episode in the middle of the week, or like just as an extra episode that week, as our regular episode, that we can attract more, our listeners, maybe.
I think so.
We just want to build our listener base, and we've been doing this for a few years now, and we're just not quite where we want to be.
No, we're not quite where we want to be.
So. We want to offer you all a little bit more of us.
Yes.
And these are fun little episodes. They're short. They're easy listens. And we hope you like it. But yes, you can still sign up to Patreon and get all of our episodes are recorded visually. So you get that visual experience. Sorry, not sorry.
You just saw what I just did. I'm sorry.
But also, there will be bonus content too.
Yeah, for sure.
We got some things in the works that we've been talking about, and whatever. Without further ado, here's my episode. Okay.
All right. Let's hear it. What you got?
Pardon me. So in this episode, we are going to investigate the 1997 disappearance and tragic death of an elderly Texas couple named Lila and Raymond Howard.
Okay.
Does this ring a bell?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And subsequently analyze how their perplexing journey inspired some pop culture stuff.
Okay, no, it doesn't. Well, let's hear this. Let's hear this.
I'm very. You don't want to give it away, you know. I'm going to bury a little bit, but drawing upon contemporary news reports and band interviews, this episode details the factual timeline of the Howard's final trip, contrasting it with the romanticized narrative woven into this specific song's lyrics. It explores the interplay between real life tragedy and artistic interpretation, demonstrating how a local news story transformed into a globally recognized musical narrative, cementing the Howard story in pop culture while simultaneously shaping public perception on their fate. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons a little bit about how artists would do this. And you had an episode like this, a microbrew like this. Which one did you do? Which one was it?
Runaway Train.
Yes, thank you. Which was actually like really great.
Yeah. And you kind of had one where you told an episode and then at the end mentioned that there was a song about it. Tornado.
Oh yeah.
I'm
87, which is
I'm
also
obsessed with that song,
it's
man.
so
like,
good.
I can't stop listening to it.
You guys.
God.
So this one's not out in the wild yet, which is the Edmonton tornado of 1987.
Oh,
that I did
yeah.
a microbrew
So good,
on.
guys.
But there's a band called the Rural Alberta Advantage, and they have a song called Tornado 87, and
so
will
good.
give you literal chills, like
oh my
goosebumps, man.
I
So
blast that shit while I'm driving down the street. I'm just like,
yeah.
Like I'm so like devastated right now, but like
Let you go.
Oh, so good.
So good.
Go listen to it, guys. And are we putting previous microbrews out in the wild?
I think so.
Okay, so
we're gonna work on it.
We're gonna work on it. You'll be able to listen to that.
Yeah,
hopefully. If
Yeah.
not,
Or-
you can go on Patreon and listen to it for free.
Yeah. Well, not for free.
Oh, it's behind a paywall. But
I mean, yeah, right now it is.
Mhm.
I
maybe
mean,
because we're talking about it, we'll make that one available to the wild.
I think that we should pick a few that we should release to the wild.
There's a few that we have released to the wild because they were just too good.
But that's going to be a perk too, is that like we're going to continue to do our weekly microbrews when we record our full length episodes. And, but like going forward, those microbrews will be released to everybody.
Understood.
But then there's a whole back catalog in Patreon.
This is
like what you
get with a microbrew. You get to be part of our planning.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first we've actually discussed it in detail. So
but
I understand.
What's really funny is like when we first started the Patreon, we're like, yeah, we'll do microbrews, we'll do bonus content, and then like everything will be unedited and unhinged. We barely edit any
full ones anymore.
Yeah, like as far as like cutting things out, I mean, all I ever edit is like the sound quality. But
you get what you get with us. Like we don't edit our shit. Like this is who we are, and this is just it. Like I know we sound like sometimes we're like heartless beings, but we're not. Like this is just our defense mechanism.
Right. And nobody's perfect.
Dark humor is our like security blanket.
And not everybody's gonna like us.
No,
and you don't have to.
Don't listen to us then. Like that's how it is. But like we're not like we don't ever try to represent ourselves as anything other than the fact that like we're real.
Yeah. We just want to have a good time. This is a passion that we share, and we want to share that with you. And hopefully you'll like us and want to like continue to listen to us and share us with the people that you like. Yeah. So anyways, let's get into this.
Sorry. I'm excited.
So Lila,
I still haven't figured it out. My brain is like, I can't figure it out. But as soon as you say it,
I mentioned it before, but that was a while ago.
Fuck, I can't. My brain is like fried right now, guys.
So Lila Howard, born Lila Joan French Copeland, which is funny because I know somebody with that last name.
Interesting.
She was 30. She was not 33 years old. She was 83 years old. Okay. And her husband, Arthur Raymond Howard, was either 87 or 88 at the time of her disappearance. Now, I mean, I think that she was a widow and he was a widower at some point, and then they got together like late in life.
Sounds familiar.
And like they were in their 80s when they got together and got married. So, which is amazing. Yeah. That you're so like, cute. I love that. I love that
Me
for
too.
you.
I love that too.
So, at the time of their disappearance in June of 1997. So residing in Salado, Texas, the couple faced significant health challenges that would ultimately play a critical role in their fate. Lila had recently begun exhibiting symptoms consistent with Alzheimer's disease, indicative of a decline in her cognitive functions, which is really sad.
That is really
sad. If
sad.
you've ever known or loved somebody He's had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
I know I have. My grandfather did.
My opa.
Yeah. Raymond, for his part, was recovering from brain surgery following a previous automobile accident, an event that had also diminished his mental capabilities.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, especially at that age, it's much harder to recover from something like that.
Yeah.
So despite these considerable health obstacles, the Howards were characterized by a profound desire for independence. They were described as fiercely independent individuals who insisted on managing their own lives, including driving themselves, even for what seemed like routine trips. And again, my grandfather had Alzheimer's and he was fiercely independent until he was placed in hospice. But to a fault, he would be driving his truck and not even remembering where he's going. He would lose not consciousness, but what?
Just his short-term memory, he just didn't
he just in and out of
sometimes happens to me too, where I'll be driving down the street and I'll be like, see that drive.
How did I get here? I don't even remember. No, that was me when I used to work, when I lived here, but I'd work in Calgary and I'd make that highway drive and I would just zone out and I'd get there. I'd get to work and I'd be like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'll be like, whoa, a second ago I was at home and now I've made it this far.
Dude, schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
That's scary.
So
we're good drivers.
Yeah. And even my grandma, it's you try to help her with something, but she's like, no, I got this, you know? But so this strong will to maintain autonomy, while admirable, excuse me, created a poignant conflict with their diminishing cognitive and physical capacities. The juxtaposition of their declining health and their unwavering self-reliance suggests that their perceived ability to navigate independently likely contributed directly to their disorientation and eventual inability to safely complete their journey on this fateful day / days. This aspect of their story highlights a broader societal challenge, which, as we were talking about, there's this delicate balance between respecting the autonomy of elderly individuals and ensuring their safety when cognitive functions begin to wane.
Yeah.
The case implicitly raises questions about when and how families or support systems should intervene to prevent such tragic outcomes. And that's a hard balance to find, So the events that led to the Howard's tragic end began on Saturday, June 28th of 1997. On that morning, Lila and Raymond departed from their home in Salado, Texas, with a clear, familiar destination in mind. The annual Pioneer Day Fiddling Festival in Temple or Belton, Texas.
So precious. Oh, I love it.
Stop. You guys are too precious. Yeah.
Oh.
This was a cherished event that they attended every year, a short drive of merely 10 to 15 miles. Lila was behind the wheel of their Oldsmobile, with Raymond seated in the passenger seat. However, instead of reaching their intended local destination, the couple embarked on an inexplicable and extensive journey that took them hundreds of miles off course, ultimately leading them to Arkansas. This stark deviation from their plan's short and familiar route serves as a profound indicator of their cognitive impairment. And the headline from the Austin newspaper, quote, "Elderly Salado couple missing on a trip to nowhere," end quote.
Interesting.
While capturing the immediate mystery, also inadvertently encapsulates the essence of their destination. Their extended travel was not a chosen adventure, but instead it was a tragic consequence of their deteriorating, that is a fucking hard word. Deteriorating health. Transforming a routine outing into a perilous, undirected odyssey. This, quote, "trip to nowhere," end quote, vividly illustrates the devastating impact of neurodegenerative conditions, where the ability to navigate familiar environments and maintain a sense of direction is tragically lost.
Oh, interesting.
So
I'm trying to figure out what this has to do with music, but I'm sure, like, I'm gonna be smacking my leg.
I wonder if anybody else out there has it yet.
Probably because my brain is like functioning at like 15%.
Yeah, you also have neurodegenerative condition right now.
I think so.
All do.
Yeah.
Well, like you and me. So the Howard's unintended journey included two critical yet ultimately unheeded encounters with law enforcement in Arkansas on June 29th, 1997, which is the day after their departure. So the first stop occurred near Subiaco. I wrote it there phonetically, but I still had to take a second. Subiaco, where an officer pulled them over for driving without their headlights on. And then an hour later, a second officer stopped them outside of Plainview for driving with their high beams on. So we're at the two extremes here. Like,
okay. That seems like
innocuous enough, but
yeah.
like, and I mean,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, let's keep going.
Yeah.
In both instances, the officers issued warnings and provided directions back toward Texas because they're like, well, where are you going? They're like, we're going to Texas. And I'm like, you're going in the wrong fucking direction.
Yeah, you're heading
to
Arkansas.
Okay? Arkansas. Crucially, they were unaware that Lila and Raymond were missing persons or that they were severely disoriented due to their health conditions. Lila, despite her condition, managed to offer plausible, albeit false, explanations stating that they were lost after driving in Texas and hadn't noticed their lights. The officers, perceiving them as a happy older couple who had simply made an honest mistake, allowed them just to continue on their journey. And these encounters highlight a significant systemic challenge. So that would be the difficulty in identifying and interviewing with vulnerable individuals who may appear functional, but are severely disoriented. Yeah. And it also points to a potential gaps in real-time interstate communication regarding missing persons reports. And had there been more immediate and widespread alerts across state lines or enhanced training for officers to recognize subtle signs of cognitive impairment, these critical junctures could have led to an intervention in these two incidences regarding their headlights that could have prevented the tragic outcome. So after a 13-day search conducted by their concerned family and various authorities, the search for Lila and Raymond Howard met its grim conclusion on July 12th of 1997. And so that would be like 15 days, like just over 2 weeks since they left. Yeah. Their Oldsmobile was discovered by two young boys, hikers, at the bottom of a 25-foot ravine near Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the car was severely damaged.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, driven to the bottom of the ravine or... Yeah, okay. An accident, maybe?
Yeah. So Raymond was found deceased inside the passenger seat of the vehicle. Lila, however, was found approximately 20 feet from the crashed car, still clutching her purse and car keys. I know.
She survived.
Authorities concluded that she had managed to crawl out of the wreckage and walk a short distance before succumbing to her injuries and collapsing.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm. And their deaths were officially attributed to trauma sustained from the car crash. Now, due to the elapsed time since their disappearance, their bodies were found in a state of pretty severe decomposition. Yeah. While one record lists Lila's death date as June 28th of 1997, this date likely refers to the estimated time of death, consistent with the decomposition, with the discovery of their bodies occurring on July 12th, as widely reported.
Yeah.
Pardon-moi. Yeah. Lila's final act, crawling from the vehicle and moving some distance while still holding her personal items, is a very deeply poignant detail because it suggests a powerful, perhaps instinctual drive to continue her perceived journey or maintain control over the situation, even in her severely injured and disoriented state. And her grip on her purse and keys reinforces her perceived role as the driver and decision maker, a deeply ingrained habit persisting even in the face of overwhelming physical and mental incapacitation. So this tragic detail underscores the profound impact of their cognitive conditions on their actions, demonstrating just how deeply ingrained, excuse me, I'm losing my freaking voice.
Drink some more.
Excuse me. Demonstrating just how deeply ingrained independence can persist even as reality becomes fragmented.
Your voice is getting sultry.
Sultry. I should read an audiobook.
You should. A spicy audiobook.
I actually would love to do that.
I would
that'd be
too.
that'd be a dream job.
Yeah, for sure. You could.
Thank you. Despite the eventual discovery of their bodies and the cause of death, the fundamental question of why Lila and Raymond Howard ended up hundreds of miles off course in Arkansas remains without a definitive answer, especially like to the general public who are reading this story. I think a lot of people thought that there was foul play involved. It was a mystery for a while, but you know, their loved ones obviously knew a little bit more, that it was like probably related to their cognitive inabilities.
That they're both going through that at the same time.
So, quote, nobody is sure how they ended up in Arkansas, end quote. Their family consistently speculated that their declining cognitive functions were the primary reason for their extreme disorientation and deviation from their intended route. Now, the roads near Plainview and Forche Junction in Arkansas, Forche, Fourche. Sorry, Americans. Where they were last seen by police, were described as treacherous, leading to concerns that Lila, in her disoriented state, may have inadvertently navigated a route she couldn't safely handle. And the absence of skid marks at the ravine further supports the theory that they may have simply just driven off the cliff without braking, which is fucking terrifying.
That's terrifying, yeah.
Like full fucking speed.
Ooh.
Oh. Possibly due to severe disorientation or falling asleep at the wheel. This inherent ambiguity in the true crime narrative, the lack of a complete and simple explanation for their actions, fuels continued public fascination. Now, the human mind naturally seeks to fill these voids, creating a persistent mystery around their final journey. And this unresolved quality of the Howard story provided fertile ground for artistic interpretation. As would be powerfully demonstrated by Fastball's song, where the unsettling unknown was transformed into a romanticized escape rather than a grim accident. The human inclination to seek patterns and meaning, even in the absence of complete information, is a powerful force that can shape how real life events are remembered and retold.
I still don't know.
All right. So I am going to, at this point, I'm going to scroll all the way down my page here.
Are you going to sing the song for?
I don't know the copyright stuff.
Okay.
But let's get into the lyrics here.
Okay.
They made up their minds and they started packing.
Oh,
they left before the sun came up that day.
Oh my God. How did I? Okay. I love that
An
song.
exit to eternal summer slacking. But where were they going without ever knowing the way? Everyone can see the road that they walked on was paved in gold. And it's always summer. We'll never get old. We'll never get hungry. We'll never get old and gray. Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's the song that we're talking about.
That's such a good song.
The tragic and perplexing disappearance of Lila and Raymond might have remained a regional cold case, but for the creative vision of the musician who transformed their story into a global hit.
Yeah.
So there's that. Tony Scalzo, who is the lead vocalist, bassist, and frontman for the Austin-based band Fastball, found, which, I mean, this is close to his heart because it's close to home there from Texas, right?
Right.
Found the direction found the direct inspiration for The Way in newspaper articles detailing the Howards' disappearance. The story had garnered national attention, but it was a specific headline from an Austin paper that truly captured his imagination. And that read, quote, "Elderly Salado couple missing on a trip to nowhere," end quote.
Oh,
This evocative phrase, with its inherent ambiguity and poetic quality, served as the primary catalyst for his creative process, transcending mere factual reporting to become a narrative seed for the song.
I kind of love that.
The song was born.
It just kind of, it like leaves their memory alive, like keeps their memory alive.
It does, yeah.
Forever, for all eternity. Like it's such a tragic event, but like no one's ever really truly going to let it fade into the
right.
nothing.
But there's some, contention around it, which we'll get into.
Uh-oh.
So the framing of the news story, beyond just the raw facts, played a crucial role in sparking Scalzo's artistic imagination. The phrase "trip to nowhere" itself carries a profound sense of the unknown and the existential elements ripe for artistic interpretation. Now, this demonstrates how the language and narrative choices employed in media, even with factual news reporting, can inadvertently imbue real-life events with symbolic meaning. Such framing provides fertile ground for artistic expression, as we said, influencing how a story is absorbed, remembered, and ultimately retold in popular culture. Scalzo openly described The Way as, quote, "a romanticized take on what happened," end quote. His artistic interpretation diverged significantly from the grim reality of the Howards' cognitive decline and disorientation. So instead, he envisioned the elderly couple not as lost and vulnerable, but instead as young lovers.
Yeah.
Deliberately, quote, "taking off to have fun like they did when they first met," end quote.
I just want to like to be the devil's advocate here, like, and from experiencing firsthand what it's like to have a loved one who is experiencing Alzheimer's or whatever. Like, in their mind, a lot of the time they are young again.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I think it's a beautiful interpretation.
It kind of is, yeah.
It's more of like from their perspective, like
Yeah.
what they're personally feeling in that moment, rather than like the tragedy that they're actually truly experiencing. But in their own minds, they probably were young lovers.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a journey, like
Yeah.
when my Opa got his Alzheimer's, he reverted back to his younger days.
They were going to a fiddle
I know.
thing.
That's
like
so innocent
it
and
is.
like lovely.
Yeah, like we're gonna go see a band, honey.
Yeah.
We're gonna dance till the sun goes down.
We're gonna take this massive detour, just explore the countryside. Like,
yeah. Come with me, sugar.
Yeah.
We'll take the scenic route tonight. So, instead, he envisions them as young lovers, and they're taking off to have fun like they did when they first met, which, as you said, they're probably thinking that anyways. And we talked a lot about autonomy for elderly people who are experiencing these shortfalls. And a lot of the times, like, it's not something that they want to admit is happening to them, because there's that sense of loss of control. Yeah. And that's something really difficult in any stage of your life to have to confront and deal with. Yeah. Especially when it's like, these are the last years of your life and you want to live them to the fullest. Yeah. And you can't, because you know that your brain is on the decline and it's not working properly. So, this was their little escape from reality, and it just, unfortunately went rogue, but
it's tragically beautiful.
It is. Yeah. So this creative choice transformed their tragic disappearance into an escapist fantasy, a narrative of wanderlust and a full escape of one's life. Mm-hmm. This act of romanticization serves not only as a creative choice, but also as a powerful mechanism for reframing the grim reality of what happened. So by transforming the passive disorientation of aging into an active, chosen act of freedom, like I said, regaining control, Scalzo offered a more palatable and even an aspirational narrative.
Yeah.
So this highlights the profound role of art in processing and recontextualizing the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And by transforming a private family tragedy into a universal fantasy of escape, the way offered listeners a narrative that resonated with their own desires for freedom and internal youth, demonstrating art's capacity to provide psychological or emotional comfort in the face of unsettling truths. And a critical detail in the genesis of The Way is that Tony Scalzo wrote and completed the song before the bodies of Lila and Raymond Howard were even discovered.
Okay.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a little
right?
bit bizarre.
This timing proved pivotal to the song's romanticized tone.
Yeah.
His creative process was unburdened by the grim details of their actual fate, the ravine, the decomp of their bodies, and the specific tragic circumstances of their deaths.
Yeah.
This allowed his romanticized vision of a deliberate, joyful escape to fully develop without having to confront the harsh realities that, like, they dead.
Yeah.
You know? Because at that point, it's just like, oh, where are they?
Yeah.
We don't know, you know? So Fastball's Miles Zuniga acknowledged this element of chance, noting that the band, quote, got lucky that we came around at the time, end quote, when, quote, people were having hits with really weird stuff, end quote. Mm-hmm. This suggests that the song's unique, partially unknown origin contributed significantly to its widespread success. And yeah, I mean, you had your episode of Runaway Train, which is, again, it's focusing on real life situations. That was about a bunch of missing children.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, again, to talk about it in this perspective, that like the song insinuates that they're runaways, and sometimes they weren't.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but it's it's taking real life issues.
Yeah.
And it's using a platform like being a band or whatever, popular culture, to and how many of those kids were found?
Several of them were found because of that song, because they were in the music video, and they were like, "Oh no, I'm here."
Mm-hmm. And like there's a lot of criticism that some of those kids didn't want to be found, but it's like, well, it's not up to anybody to make that assertion for themselves, you know. But
somebody obviously cares enough to be looking for you.
And that was the 90s. The 90s were bomb ass fuck shit for music, man. That was the time, and now we have really hard-hitting hits like HOTTOTO, you can take me hard to go, which is just ridiculous. It doesn't mean anything.
I don't even know that song. What about
I can't with that one, man.
My stepkids are obsessed with it. Martin loves it. And I can't get it out of my head, and I'm like, mind.
No.
When I told Martin that Rose was a K-pop star, he was like, I was like, whatever, it's so good.
But what I'm trying to get at is that, like, I feel like music these days just lacks the substance that it did back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And hits like this were coming out.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
And like that had meaning and substance, obviously. I just said that. So let's repeat myself in there. Anyways, so yeah, the 90s were a time that really weird stuff was coming out, and they were hits, and it was, people loved it. People ate that shit up. So this suggests that the song's unique, partially unknown origin contributed significantly to its widespread success.
Yeah.
The temporal gap between the event and its full resolution created a unique space for artistic creation, where ambiguity fostered imaginative interpretations that might otherwise have been constrained by complete and often harsher realities. And this illustrates how the timeline of information dissemination can profoundly shape artistic output.
Information dissemination.
What was that one episode that I did, and what were we saying? Oh, no taxation without representation. Yes. That was the Boston
No taxation without representation.
That's TM. That's ours.
Yes.
That is ours now.
Yes.
So,
let's start a metal band.
Yeah, we should. But another part of this is that like a lot of people felt that Fastball was monetizing off of this tragedy and this family's tragedy and everything, right? So The Way is a masterclass in lyrical interpretation, taking the skeletal facts, no pun intended, of a true tragedy and weaving them into a narrative rich with metaphor and emotional resonance. A detailed examination of its lyrics reveals both striking parallels to the Howard's plight and deliberate romanticized departures from reality. So let's dig a little bit deeper. So the song begins with the lines, they made up their minds and they started packing. They left before the sun came up that day. An exit to eternal summer slacking. So this paints a picture of a deliberate, joyful, and chosen departure. And the imagery of packing and an exit to eternal summer slacking romanticizes the Howards leaving. And in stark contrast, the Howards' actual departure was for a local festival. And their subsequent extended journey was a tragic consequence that was not intended. Not a planned slacking. Right? Not a plan like detour. And the quote, eternal summer here serves as a poetic euphemism for death, transforming a grim end into an idealized state of perpetual leisure. The lyrics continue, but where were they going without ever knowing the way? They drank up the wine and they got to talking. They now had more important things to say.
I love it.
And when the car broke down, they started walking. And then the phrase, without ever knowing the way, is a direct and poignant parallel to the Howards' profound disorientation as they drove hundreds of miles off course into Arkansas. However, the subsequent romanticized imagery of drink up the wine and got to talking and having more important things to say adds an intimate a conversational element to it. That's purely just a product of Scalzo's imagination. Fitting his young lover's theme.
Considering the car did not run out of gas.
And then the car broke down and started walking. It's just a softened, romanticized interpretation of a violent car crash at the bottom of a ravine.
Which he didn't know at the time.
Exactly, right? Then the chorus provides the most significant departure from reality, which is anyone can see the road that they walk on is paved in gold. And it's always summer. They'll never get cold. They'll never get hungry. They'll never get old and gray. And this transforms their tragic deaths into an idyllic, almost heavenly existence. Free from the burdens and boundaries of aging, hunger, and cold. And this directly reflects Scalzo's romanticized vision of escaping responsibilities and reliving youth. So he did himself acknowledge the grim reality beneath this fantasy, stating, quote, only the dead never get old or go hungry again, end quote, which is a subtle, dark reminder of the true circumstance.
It is.
And then there's the children's perspective in the song, or the part that touches on the family's experience. Their children woke up and they couldn't find them. They left before the sun came up that day. They drove off and left it all behind them. So this accurately captures the children's discovery of their parents' disappearance. The phrase drove off and left it all behind them reinforces the song's central theme of a deliberate, chosen escape, contrasting with the accidental and disoriented nature of what actually happened. So I apologize for that singing.
No,
you stuck with us for that. The consistent pattern.
Your thing, girl.
I know, but I'm not on my game because I've had some. Well, I'm never on my game. I don't know how to sing. Let's be honest. The consistent pattern of transforming grim factual details into romantic or idealized lyrical elements suggests that Scalzo's artistic process was a form of emotional processing or reframing instead of dwelling on tragic aspects. Because that doesn't sell. He was inspired by a headline in the newspaper. It was something that was close to home for him. And I mean, that's why we do what we do, because
Exactly.
like this stuff, and especially when we find cases and we tell you cases of things that are close to home here, like I just did Kakisikuchin or Swift Runner, Swift Runner. And that one really spoke to me because I had done the Wendigo, which was like a huge part of Alberta history or like folklore from back in the day. And like that stuff hits you different.
Yeah, like all my episodes relating to Nova Scotia, the Wabanaki, the Halifax explosion, those all have a special place in my heart because I grew up in the East Coast.
It's like, damn, from there. I could have known those people. I could have seen those people in the grocery store, you know? So that's why. But like, he's an artist, and this is an artistic interpretation of true events that happened, right? So... I mean, the song resonated deeply with audiences because it tapped into a universal human fascination with the unknown, particularly unexplained disappearances, especially in that time.
Yes.
I think Unsolved Mysteries was very big in the 90s, right? The human psyche is inherently drawn to narratives that lack complete closure.
True story. Hence why we have a podcast about mostly unsolved mysteries.
And that's why our minds like kind of try to fill in the blanks, and they do what they can. And that's why, like we talked about in your episode when we did the preamble and we talked about the 2 missing Nova Scotia children and how, you know, people need to let off their theories and all this stuff. But like, it's human nature to theorize about what could have happened because there's no resolution. And we need a resolution. We need that closure. So the Way did not just report the Howard story. It fundamentally kind of reinterpreted it, creating a new, more enduring cultural myth. And it wasn't done maliciously, honestly.
No, definitely not.
This transformation from a tragic accident rooted in cognitive decline to a romantic chosen escape highlights the powerful and sometimes distorting influence of pop culture on collective memory. The song's narrative, while beautiful and emotionally resonant, ultimately diverged significantly from factual reality, which upset some people, potentially shaping public understanding of the Howard's legacy in ways that minimize the tragic element of it. This raises important ethical considerations regarding artistic adaptation of true crime or personal tragedies. While art can provide catharsis and meaning, it also carries the responsibility of how it shapes public perception and the memory of those involved. And that's why I think we try to do the best that we can. And, you know, so like, this is an art form.
This is,
This is art, honey.
This is. Yeah.
Just kidding. That was my mouth for those who aren't watching. So, despite its specific and tragic details, this story touches upon human experiences, aging, loss of autonomy, the desire for freedom, and ultimately the mystery of death. Also, like the responsibility and how hard it is to intervene in those cases because you desperately want to allow the elderly and the vulnerable to have the autonomy that they so well deserve. But like, at what point do you intervene, and when's it appropriate, and how can you do it, I guess? But also there's, you know, there is a responsibility to be true to how you're retelling a story, I suppose. I don't know how you would do that differently in Fastball's case, because like, I understand their perspective on it.
I do too.
And I think it's a beautiful song, and I actually really love it.
And there was no malicious intent behind it. And I don't think that like they never intended to like offend anybody.
And I think Lila and Howard heard that song up in heaven or wherever they went, and they're like, everyone can see the road that we walk on is paved.
I think they would be kind of happy. Like, maybe
they're fiddling.
Should be happy to know that like my memory is being preserved in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not my fucking wife drove off a cliff. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But like, I'm making a joke of like, husbands joke about how their wives drive, but, no, I think it was, I personally feel like it was done respectfully and with love.
Yeah.
But, obviously a lot of people had their qualms about it, as they do, because like you can't do anything in this lifetime without being canceled for something, but,
offending somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Let us know.
Lila and Howard seem like badasses, and I think that they were so in love, and I love that for them.
I do too.
And I honestly love the song.
I do too.
I do.
It's in my top 1,000.
Is it?
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
On Spotify?
I have a playlist. Yeah, it's Martin's playlist. We kind of work on it together now, but it's on our top 1,000.
What number is it?
Oh, they're not like we just kind of we just put songs on there. Like there's no like specific we're not sure. Okay. That's way too much, but it's on there.
Well, I hope you guys like that. And
sure did. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, you'll hear more of these little microbrews in the future. So we hope you like it and let us know. Again, if there's anything that you want to hear us do. And
now that this is back in the wild, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram at Homebrew Murder Crew, X at Homebrew MC, Patreon at Homebrew MC, and you can email us at
homebrewmurdercrew@gmail.com.
Thank you. We don't normally do this on microbrews. So
yeah. And again, Patreon is $3 a month. Yes. You still get exclusive content for signing up. It's just that we are going to be sharing the microbrews for everybody so they can all see what we do. And then we'll revisit it in the future.
Yeah. Reach out to us on any of those platforms and let us know what you want more of, what you want less of, like whatever.
And like us on whatever platform. Give us 5 stars. It really helps us. And anything that you can do.
Yeah.
Share us. Talk about us. Listen to us. I don't know. Fuck it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Christy. That was amazing. Bye.